So, today I'm talking about a supernatural horror book in French. If you don't want to read horror of any kind, then do not read this book. I'm not a huge fan of horror either, but this one did not go beyond my limits. I'll get into why in a minute. The book is Bienvenue, Chez, Vous by Alex Sol. A family, your average 2 adults, 2 children, moves into a house they've had built in a village. The village is new to them, and let's just say that the house is of unusual construction. Unbeknownst to them, things happened during that construction which were disturbing. They find out for themselves there's something wrong in a very short space of time. So the horror in this book does involve death, human and non-human animals. Do the children experience the horror? Yes. Again, if you don't want to read that, don't. However, many of the horrific events actually take place off the page. You just get to know the results of what has happened. This distances you a little from it, apart from the climax. Actually, there are 2 of those, because there's quite a bit that happens after the first big showdown. A lot of the interactions, converging storylines in the first part of this book are about people's distrust of others who aren't like them. The children at the school, the strange older man who lives nearby, the teacher who thinks there is something awry. I just realised that rhymes. The members of the family become suspicious and antagonistic towards each other, acting weird. As to what's happening, well, I'm not sure how many people would realise the premise of this as quickly as I did, and I got it really quickly. I think that is partly because of where I live, in Europe, and the fact that there was something very similar in terms of inciting incidents that happened here some years back. However, it is pretty heavily foreshadowed as about halfway through, so I think many people will understand something about what's happening at that point. Of course, I didn't know the exact details, but I knew why it was happening. Is that vague enough? I think so. As to the text, this I found really easy to understand. The French, I would say, is not that complex. I barely had to look at anything up in order to understand it. Will you? Well, here's a short paragraph from the prologue so you can find out. I tried to pick one that doesn't have any spoiler info. Engagé en tant qu'intérimaire, Zach avait sauté de joie en recevant un appel de l'agence la veille. Ses incompétents lui avaient enfin trouvé un travail, un chantier de maison individuelle. Le patron venait de se séparer d'un de ses plaquistes et avait besoin d'un nouveau en urgence. Parfait pour Zach, qui végétait sur son canapé, persuadé qu'aucune offre ne se présenterait jamais. Employed as a temporary worker, Zach had jumped for joy on getting a call from the agency the day before. Those incompetent people had finally found him some work. A construction site for a detached home. The site manager had just let one of his plasterers go and needed a new one urgently. Perfect for Zach, who was vegetating on his sofa, convinced that he would never be offered anything. And here's a short review in my dodgy, hesitant French. How the heck do I talk about a horror book? Ce roman, Bienvenue chez vous de Alex Sol, est un roman d'horreur. Horreur surnaturelle. Oui, il n'y a pas une personne avec une arme ou quelque chose de ce genre, mais il y a une présence surnaturelle et dangereuse. L'histoire s'agit d'une famille qui arrive dans un village pour commencer leur nouvelle vie dans leur maison nouvellement construite. Immédiatement, des choses étranges se produisent dans la maison. Au principe, petites choses, mais elle devient de plus en plus effrayante et violente. Il y a aussi des problèmes à l'école pour les enfants et leur mère qui a un emploi là-bas qu'elle n'aime pas du tout. Mais ce roman est aussi au sujet des problèmes quand on se déplace, les difficultés à l'école avec le travail, le sentiment d'être un étranger. J'ai trouvé ce roman assez facile à lire. Le vocabulaire non est trop difficile.